and yeah, it works. So hello everyone, today I will be doing another live stream. It's part 5 out of 2 of this fella. So I guess without any further ado we shall continue on him. So yeah, maybe today I will like bring him really close to the finish. I guess in the next part definitely I will manage to like finish him. Today I want to like make wings, or at least to bring them to the level where I feel kind of confident with them. But before we actually start painting on this fella, because he's in here, and in here we have an empty something layer that I don't know what it is, but let me delete it. Before we actually start painting on it, I got a request to make a paint over, or to make a critique over the imp from, I believe it was an imp. I don't remember how the upgraded unit was called, so let's call it an imp. Was from the Heroes of Might and Magic 3, done by Roman Michaliska, I believe, the guy that I was talking about in the previous video. I guess this is the upgraded version because this one is kind of red, but I also kind of see like the yellowish hue. Maybe it's from fire, so it could be the not upgraded version. So the first thing is, it looks really cool. I feel like this is a really nice interpretation of this guy. Especially since the design is kinda different. It's not like just a copy paste, so yeah, I like it. But there are some things that I kinda feel could be improved. So starting first with the arms, because there's the thing that I don't really like about the arms in this one. So if I take the brush and just mark the joints, so let me mark them. This one clearly shows that the arm is going like here and behind, and that the forearm is going like this, and it's basically okay. In this case, I kind of don't really feel that it's kind of like wrapping around. I don't feel like the cylindrical forms kind of like fit to each other, so I feel it looks more like, let me take a selection tool. It feels kinda like it looks more like it's just flat plane and flat plane. There's no dimension to it. So I guess if we view it from the side, actually, if there is a body of the imp, and in here we will have a head, then the arm is doing something like this, or at least I imagine it is doing something like this. In this case, what we see in here, it kind of suggests it goes like this, which is not the case. I do think this. So if this is not the case, then I do believe if we shine the light kind of like from the top, let's say we kind of shine it like the general light from the top, there is some sort of a side light that is lighting up the character from the left, and there is the light from the orb of fire. So in here, I think what we could do is to actually just kind of bring a little bit more shadow to this area, to simply push back the entire arm, and to kind of show the geometry of a bicep. And let me take a different brush that will be a little bit more gentle, to kind of show the geometry of a bicep, maybe a bit like to make the delt protrude a bit more. And even if the light is coming from the left side, I can imagine like the forearm will be casting some sort of a shadow in here. And if the light is also coming from the right side, I can imagine maybe it will be just like really slightly like lit in here by the light from the fire. So it should make the entire arm, where's the blur? It should make the entire arm go a little bit more readable. So this is like a really small thing, I would say. Also, other thing that you could do to make it kind of a little bit more clear is to simply just like break the shape a bit more. So we have this clear line that is going like this, instead of just like a straight arm. So in here we could also do the same thing for the arm. So we would have this like motion instead of like having this type of a thing. And I kind of feel if we are talking about demons and stuff like this, adding some like creepiness to to it is more than welcome, I think. So it might make the entire thing look a bit better. So this is for the arm. And also for the legs, I got a reference in here. So in original, they do not have hooves. They have like feet with some claws, and they look really awkward with it. In here, you added a hoofs. So I do believe there should be like this a bit thicker part in here. So the actual hoof have like this point where it can kind of like bend. So there is a joint in here, I do believe. And in here you kind of see it looks like a normal ankles of a normal human. So I guess it should be like this as we did it, and just to make it a bit more visible. Similar story goes with the knees, but the knees are always a problem to draw, especially when there's like a double jointed leg. So I do believe maybe again bringing a little bit more of this like type of a shape can increase the readability. So this is one thing, and the next thing that I think I would improve is the fur on the legs, because at the moment it kind of looks like he's wearing like pants made out of fur. It does not seem like a really natural in terms of how it grew. I do believe this is like what you meant, that he's not wearing pants. So I think we could actually give him a little bit more like natural looking fur. So let's say the thighs on the inside will be a bit more, there will be a little bit less hair, because like I can imagine when he's like walking, maybe his thighs actually touch, and there should be a little bit more of the fur on his stomach, and maybe even going a little bit up to the top, maybe slightly like touching the chest. And also on the chest you could like make the collarbone a little bit more prominent, so the space for the head will like read a bit better. But overall, I do believe this is a really cool type of a thing. Also, what I kind of just noticed right now is that because this is like the lowest tier of a demon, you could also show it in a way the face is designed. So for example, when we have a horn, we do expect from like a low tier demon to be like really like not even, because we can say it has like a bad genes in a sense, so it's not really a good looking type of a demon. So giving him a little bit more of asymmetry should work in the favor of making the design interesting. So like I can imagine one horn being like really bigger, so we could have like a bigger horn, and we could have like a smaller eye, for example. I do like the big eyes though, but I feel to make them a bit smaller will make them a little bit more like realistic instead of like cartoony. And for example, this horn could grow in a really weird direction, so it could like go a little bit more to the side. That will kind of show the idea of the demon being on the lower side of hell. Like people don't usually like or associate the uneven things with something that is not perfect. So of course this is like a really general thought. It's a really shortcut in terms of thinking. But if we want to show a demon that, for example, is a Prince of Hell, we can expect him to be like extremely like symmetrical, because it just looks sometimes nice. But yeah, something like this. And maybe some discoloration on the horns could also work on our favor. So we can imagine he burned his horns, or maybe they grew this way. It always brings like this nice type of a detail to the design of a character. And the rest I think looks pretty good. It looks okay. Maybe I would like make the tail a bit shorter, but in here it kind of serves the purpose of being more like a graphic design type of a thing. So it like shows the cool looking shape. behind the character, which is also fine, but I feel it's kind of a little bit too long. I do think maybe, let me just remove it really quickly. I do feel that, for example, maybe making a tail that like starts in here and goes like this could work a little bit better, because this way we can kind of show a little bit more of the perspective and geometry, because something is overlapping something, and usually overlaps are like okay to have them in a painting. And yeah, so, but this is just, I guess, more like a personal preference, so I don't really mind it being this way. Maybe the things could be a bit, yeah, sharper. But again, wings are my like really weak part, so I won't really comment a lot on those. And let me open and copy the original again, because I was not painting on a good layer. So if we were to overlay them, I think this way it looks a little bit more like devilish, and I feel the proportions are just a bit better with the smaller eyes and bigger horns. So yeah, not a big change, but there is it. Of course, we could like sculpt a bit more for the chest and everything. Now, when I look at this dude, he is like really buffed. I never like noticed that he is like this swole and everything. So yeah, I guess this is the things that I would go with. Also, maybe if you are doing stuff like this, I would avoid drawing like hair that are in the color of the face, because I do imagine he's kind of like skin and naked, and then the hair are a bit different colored, especially since you already have like the fur in here. So to make him a little bit more like, let's say, cheap looking as a unit, we could give him like this really weird and funny looking beard, so there will be like single strands of hair and stuff like this, so it won't look tidy. If you're like a high level demon prince, you would keep like your bird intact, but if you are not, then you have something like this. So yeah, and maybe the elbow, a bit more of it in here. And yeah, I think this would be the thing on how I would approach it. But of course, this one is a little bit more stylized, so maybe this was the idea. I don't know, but yeah, this is how I would see those type of a thing. I also like, yeah, I kind of just want to experiment on one thing. I kind of like the eyes being kind of like just spheres with some sort of a like brighter parts in the middle of it. I do feel though, since these are a bit like on the dump side of the demons, maybe giving them a little bit more like expression that is kind of showing that they are kind of stupid, with the like really huge kind of bloated eyes, kind of like a weasel from the new Suicide Squad. If someone saw the new Suicide Squad, I guess you know what I'm talking about. But let me just search for Suicide Squad. No, where it is? Yes, something like this. And also hello Ataberk and hello Gabriel. Yeah, with something like this. So actually a really similar face, but you can see the face is really stupid looking because of the eyes, like this protruding eyeballs that are going to the side. I really feel this character looks great. It has a lot of personality, and I feel maybe those type of a thing could be transferred to this character too, since this is like a goofy low level imp. So yeah. So this is all. If anyone has any questions or something like this, feel free to ask. And as I said, today I will try to continue on this fella, and I will try to bring him a bit closer to a finish. And I want to touch on the wings, because I spent more or less like zero time on them, so I will try to see what I can do to them today, and maybe it will look better, because we will kind of like get rid of the last part that is kind of like untouched. And also because this is like not in the middle in a sense, so it's not like in a focal point of the entire artwork, I can more or less leave them in a much more sketchy manner, so not much detail is really needed. So as long as I kind of like get rid of all the lines that I have drawn, it should be more or less good to go. So I can kind of like change some shapes and stuff like this and just make it look a bit cleaner, but nothing too crazy. So the areas where you have like a bigger amount of detail will be more eye-catching, and the areas that are out of the focal point will be less eye-catching, which is basically a logic that you can apply when you are trying to distribute the details on your character, on your painting. And let me just duplicate this fella, and I will just paint on him directly, because I kind of want to be able to erase the silhouette. So by erasing the silhouette, I will enable myself to kind of change the shape, the general shape of the wing. With the new layer, I won't be able to do it. So yeah, from like the art part of a thing, this is pretty much all. From other things that are mildly interesting, I recently, actually yesterday, I started again playing with a friend of mine at Dungeons and Dragons. We are trying to play this through Discord, so it's kind of nice. It's a really nice thing to be able to do finally again, especially since I am getting better and better at organizing my stuff, my time and everything. So hopefully I will be able to like commit to do more things than I used to do. And playing D&D is one of the things that I also really enjoy. In this case, I am kind of like playing, I mean, I'm not playing, I am DMing, but it's also fine. If anyone is a creative, like for example, an illustrator or a designer or whatever, however you want to call yourself, actually DMing a game is a really neat things to practice, like writing scenarios and practice just coming up with a cool stuff. And also it will kind of fill up your brain with cool visuals, because if you are trying to like lead a game, then most likely it will cause you to like imagine a lot of different stuff. And if you can see the players are like receiving well the content that you are doing, there's a huge chance that also the same content will work nice as an illustration or as some sort of a side project. So if you're like really low on ideas in terms of what to draw, what to paint, you can always just come up with a campaign, just try to illustrate it, or at least try to sketch the ideas. So if someone is feeling stuck, then this might be a case to unstuck yourself. And yeah. Whoops. And also soon, regarding the creating stuff and creating worlds and coming up with the ideas, soon I will be actually launching maybe not a new format in here, and I know that I'm not extremely active in here, but I finally managed to translate my IP. That was also my diploma to English language, and I managed to kind of talk with some much more skilled people about it. And soon I plan to kind of like start designing it, and to start designing it actually on like in here on stream, so I could like guide you through and show you like the process that I take to actually design something from scratch. So it will be like additional series where I will actually try to design my own IP while like talking and just doing stuff. So yeah, this is pretty much all the interesting info that I have for today. And for the campaign, because it was kind of cool, I was playing with a friend of mine from childhood and several different friends that I met mostly in the high school, I guess. So the setting they were playing in, I trapped them in a prison and they kind of had to make like a prison escape. The prison was kind of filled with like some sort of a zombies and stuff like this. And they managed to not die. So this is a really nice thing. They did not die on the first campaign. They had some occasions to do so, but they did not. So it all went pretty smoothly. And they managed to get out of the prison. So we will see where the campaign will take them further. I kind of want to talk about the things that I kind of invented for them, but some of them might be watching it, so I don't want also to spoil anything for them. So I guess I will be keeping it as a secret. So no spoilers from the campaign that we are currently playing. But yeah. And also for the work, I managed to like do what I had to do for today in a work, and I wonder when I will be able to show everything, but I might get a PTSD after the artwork that I was doing right now, because there were so many like really small changes that were like really subtle, that now I'm kinda like happy that I can like paint this wing and do not really care about the perfect quality of it. No problem, Roman. Also, if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask, because today I guess I will stream maybe for a bit longer, because I feel like moving on the next monster and I kinda want to push this guy like without sacrificing too much quality, because honestly now after looking at it I feel like I could spend 12 more hours on it and it still won't be finished. So I think today I will try to cut some corners, maybe use some photo textures. This will be cool to try, like to add some like scales or some like skin textures and whatnot. So yeah, this will be like the let's try to make as soon as possible something that looks decent type of a stream. And I actually also feel like kind of changing the design of a tail, because if someone was watching at the beginning, maybe you remember the part when I was saying that the tail actually was done without like caring about it too much. I just wanted it to be done. Now I might just add minute details to it, so it will look at least a bit better. Nothing too crazy, just to increase the amount of like the sharp things coming out of it. And if the horn is casting in here, the shadow, and if this shadow was made from I don't know which horn it was, I guess I removed it, then most likely the part of the shadow of the hand will be like visible in here. So yeah, maybe this part of the tail should be actually in a shadow, like a really soft shadow, because this object is not like extremely close to it. The closer the object is to the thing it casts shadows on, the softer, the sharper the shadow will get, and the further away the object is, the softer the shadow will get. Also, if we will get like a really sharp, like small angle light, I mean it's not like really wide type of a light source, then the shadow also will be sharper. But the bigger the light source gets, the softer the shadows are. So for example, you can really easily see it in like a really sharp daylight where you have basically no clouds. Then the shadows tend to be like really crisp. And when, for example, there's like a really heavy fog, so basically all the light is scattered in the clouds, which means basically the entire like sky becomes like a huge light source. Then the shadows are like extremely soft. So this kind of like proves the theory, proves the point of what I wanted to say with it. In here, the light source is relatively sharp because of all this like sharp shadows that are happening on the body. So for example, in here, the head and whatnot. But again, this is kind of like what this guy came to be. It's a little bit still as an experiment, so we will see how this will go. But yeah, and also one of the things that I always wanted to learn, that is a really cool skill to have, is to be able to actually paint with like a really few brush strokes, something that looks like really photorealistic, and then you can just refine it so the basic render just looks sharper. But as I mentioned, I believe several times, it requires tremendous knowledge about the light and color and everything, and I don't think I can nail this down right now, but it would be great to be able to do something like it. Recently also, when I was studying a bit of a work of Adrian Smith, he kind of blew my mind with how loose the paintings are when you move up close to them, but how photorealistic they look when you actually move away from them. Same for Brad Rigney, because Brad Rigney also, when you look at his sketches, they look like photographs. When you actually try to like analyze it from the close, like when you look at the close-up, then they get like really loose. So maybe I will just download the image and show you what I mean by it. Rigney. Also, Brad Rigney is like tremendously good artist. So if anyone somehow does not know him, I really highly recommend him. And the painting that I mean is on his DeviantArt. Crypt Crawler. And the best painting to prove the fact that he can make a photorealistic sketch is The Witch. And it's also extremely old painting. But not the Weasel. Copying. Recently I think the copy just do not work. Desktop. Yeah, so basically this thing, when you look at it like this, it looks like a photo, like everything looks really tight and looks really crisp and looks really sharp. If you look at this like this, it also still looks crisp, but when you like zoom into it, it looks like this. And this is kind of weird because by any means, this does not look like a nicely painted hand, but now it looks like a photo, which is kind of crazy, especially also with the rock. You can see how like ugly this thing is, but it just works. It serves the purpose really well. But this thing, like looking like this, is actually crazy. And to learn how to do it, this will be a really cool and neat thing, because then making monsters like this most likely will be just easy, or will be much easier, I can imagine. So yeah, this will be cool. Yeah, but he sometimes drops like this huge bombs of like art on his art station. So I guess like 1 year ago, he made this like huge art drop, and he basically uploaded like, I don't know, 50 pieces, 15 pieces, 50 pieces of some new art. And he usually, as far as I noticed, does those huge art drops, and that's, yeah. So he is still active. But true, when I found out that he has a YouTube channel, I was like, wow, give me more of this. Like, I do need it for research purposes. And I also found it when I like needed it, because I needed it for work. And I started doing some research about him, and I was like, oh, you do have a YouTube channel. or you used to have, because now he kind of abandoned it. But yeah, Adrian Smith is crazy. Maybe one day, if I will have like, I don't know, 1 million subscribers or whatever, I will try to invite him in here. It will be cool, but I guess for this caliber I need to grow this channel like tremendously, stupidly huge and big, so I won't be wasting his time, because at this point I do believe I will just waste his time. So he deserves like an extremely proper audience for being like a legend. So if I can't like guarantee that he will have like, I don't know, 500 viewers, then I don't think there is like a huge sense of it. Not to say a bad thing about any previous guest that I had, but everyone have to admit that Adrian Smith is just like, at this moment, like a modern master. I do believe it's really hard to get better than him. But I don't know. Maybe if someone he is watching this, you are invited. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to the practice. If you just draw a lot, this is also like the thing that I had to kind of learn the hard way. There's no way you can, given enough time, most likely, like even a really mediocre artist could produce an outstanding artwork in terms of details and like everything. Just given time, it's just like rendering and rendering. If you have like the basics and someone will like keep you intact, so will like guide you at least a bit, then you are able to like make a photorealistic thing. You just need time. But the one thing that no matter how hard you can try, that you cannot fake is the loosiness of the painting. And it just purely comes with the experience. The more you draw, the more tricks that you will learn on how to like interpret the everything that you see, the more like loose and the more like light the painting will look like. So this is one of the things that you really just need to put like fuckload of work to achieve those type of a thing. But true, when I was like looking at his orcs, I was like, what? Like, this should not be legal to make something look like this unfinished up close, but photorealistic when you are not up close. I guess it's just, as I said, matter of experience and the fact that he knows where to press a brush or where to apply the details and everything. And also what's kind of funny about Adrian Smith artworks is that he's so like, he has a really unique style to his artworks, and the feeling of proportion and everything is like one of my favorites like ever. But the cool part is that nowadays when someone like hires him like for a board game or something like this, I do believe it's not like a board game that has Adrian Smith artworks in them. It's Adrian Smith game that just illustrated another like board game, because like his style is so distinctive that I only can imagine the board games and the card arts and whatever that he's illustrating benefits from his style, because it just makes everything looks instantly cool. So yeah, even at some point I was talking with a friend of mine that again you could see another board game like hiring Adrian Smith, and like no one cared about the board game, everybody cared about the art. So it's kind of funny, or at least from the people that I was talking on this topic about, because they were like more hyped to see new things from Adrian instead of like seeing, oh, another cool game in development. It's like, oh, Adrian Smith did more art, I will have something to look at, which is really cool. The more art the better. Also, I do believe for this fella, for the face to be almost finished, maybe I will just slightly like do something with this horn, with this task in the front, because when I just opened the file, I look at it and something felt really off with it for me. I kind of feel like it should be a bit lower, and that the bottom part should be a bit more in a shadow. So it feels a bit more like it's coming up to the front and up, instead of just going down. But yeah. And also about the looseness in the paintings, even from the experience, because I'm not, like, I really like sketching, but I really like sketching in Photoshop. I, like, don't know why, don't enjoy, like, sketching in a sketchbooks that much. I used to enjoy it really much, like, really long time ago, but now I kind of don't. I guess because of the lack of Ctrl-Z and all the transforms and just experimenting with the sketches quickly, and the fact that everything that you do in traditional medias is really like committing to what you are actually painting. And even when I started drawing like all these Diablo monsters, so basically it was like sketching for me. Like back in the days I was also like really consistent with them. I felt a really huge improvement in terms of like just not giving a shit how the sketch turns out. So the sketches were much looser. I heard about Blood Rage. I was only like looking at the images. I sometimes play board games, but well, but not that much. And usually when I play a board game, it's like Talisman, because it's just cool as heck. And recently, on my birthday, I got Scythe, the game by Jakub Różalski, or illustrated by Jakub Różalski, and we kind of were trying to like go through it. It is a cool game, but it is kind of complex, so it's a bit hard to like learn how to play it while actually drinking beer and trying to navigate with all the tactical stuff. So we played it for like 3 or 4 times at this point, but we are still not sure if we are doing everything correctly. We are definitely skipping some rules and everything, but yeah, the game also seemed to be really cool. But for my game of choice in terms of like a board games, it is Talisman. It's just a cool game with like a really cool gameplay that is entertaining, and it's not really hard, even given the fact that we managed to misread the rules for it, and we were playing incorrectly for like a really long period of time. So we were leveling in a wrong manner. That made the game kind of broken, and that really made the game also much faster, because when we started playing with the official rules in terms of like how and when you can level, then the game, like, from being long got 10 times longer, but also became kind of a bit more challenging and a bit more fun, which is also an added bonus, because I do enjoy games that are hard and that are on the challenging side of things. Yep. And also I was playing the really old version of it, because like it was really popular when my parents were young, or like when they were in their teens. Then this game was like really popular in here, so I like always heard about it, but for a really long time it was like unavailable to be played. And just several years ago they made like the remake of a game. It kind of allowed me to also experience it, and it's cool. There are like fuckload of add-ons, but the add-ons are also cool. I do enjoy them. So yeah. Oh yeah, the I once was even like I counted how much they do cost, like every single expansion, and yeah, it was expensive. Also, in one shop in Poland you can also buy like a dedicated shelf for the game, so it's basically like a huge box that organizes every single like expansion that you can get. And this is a bit crazy, at this point, but yeah. We have like 3 or 4 expansions, something like this, and it's like enough to play an interesting game. I guess the only expansion that I'm kind of missing is the city and the mountains, because I heard then you can like do more of this walking and collecting stuff instead of just go and kill monsters, which is cool because sometimes we just have a bad time with randomizing cards, and some games happen that we had like a fuckload of dragons on a map and they were basically impossible to kill, and every single like file was occupied by dragons, and yeah, without like buying the equipment or just doing something additional, going on an adventure, the game got really rough and really hard really fucking fast. So I guess some like more buy stuff type of expansions are needed for me. But also, other than that, I'm relatively vanilla in playing board games. Like, I do like them, but not that much, usually. Mostly because they, like, it's hard already to, like, gather some people next to a PC to play some games online, and to gather some people, like, in real life to actually meet somewhere to bring the game, and for everyone to have like a lot of time and energy. Actually, energy is also a huge point to play some games. At this moment, this is like close to impossible because like everybody is like changing the living location and everything. It's like this phase of a life where people try to like move out, find a stable job, and do like this adult type of a stuff, which makes actually meeting for board games close to impossible, especially with the same group, because like it is a bit easier to like meet with like random friends a bit, but to have like a consistent group to continue playing something consistently, this is like a challenge at this moment. So maybe one day, when everybody will be rich and beautiful, and you won't have to care about anything other than like playing board games, then it should be like much easier. But yeah. Also, for this leg piece that I am painting right now, I don't want it to be like extremely finished because it is in the shadow and it's relatively far away from the focal point. So mostly I will try to keep like the graphic shape interesting, the outline, and the metal-y parts I will just try to like clean up a bit, and I won't dive into much details with it. Also later, most likely I will make the entire like bottom part much darker, because this is like usually the finish that I like to make. So I tend to make the like some sort of a gradient going from bottom to the top. That kinda makes the entire thing bit like it brings the attention to the top part of a design, which is naturally a bit more interesting usually. Yeah, and even like because we were playing with our other friend of mine, like with our other friend that was DMing, he is more like he is a friend of mine, but he's more like a friend of mine, and he was DMing, but at one session he forgot to inform us that he went to sleep, basically. On the other sessions he like forgot, he kinda changed the term, then the second term was not fitting to everyone and the group fell off. So now I am DMing, so we hopefully managed to like gather a relatively stable group of players. And yeah, we will see how it will go. Especially since, as I said, even for the IP that I want to develop, I might test a lot of solutions and ideas actually in practice with playing with them. So basically parts of the lore will be a part of a game. So I can see, because sometimes when something sounds cool on a paper, it does not necessarily mean it will like sound cool in real life, in practice. So it's a good testing field to experiment on. And also just to see how the players receive different type of things. Because again, there are different things that as an artist I might think are cool, and different things that like a casual player thinks is cool. For example, recently I was like watching, I don't know why, because I don't even play World of Warcraft, but I was like watching Asmongold just talking about World of Warcraft, and he is wildly entertaining. Again, I never played World of Warcraft. I don't even intend to, because I know that if I would ever start playing World of Warcraft, then I will be lost for like forever. Maybe not now, because I heard the new expansion is shit, and there is like way too much content in a game already to like start playing it like without any problems whatsoever. But I just enjoy the content that he's making, and he was just explaining the way he looks at the skins and the mounts, and he basically said that he does not give a flying fuck about the like really subtle changes in the design. If, for example, you take a monster, so for example, if we have this monster and it's red, and let's say you can ride it, he said basically if we would do something like this, that is like slightly less red or a little bit more purple, then it's a lazy design and he does not enjoy this type of a thing. But if it will be like blue, like this, for him, he said this is like the entirely new monster, and he does not care if that, for example, the axe is different, or this is different, or that is different. He just views it as a absolutely different thing, because the color change is just strong. Yeah, it's like really visible, which is kind of funny, because if I were to design this monster as a blue one, he definitely will have like extremely different features. He will just visually be different. So yeah, because like the blue color suggests a bit of a different finish to the creature, to the monster, which is also a good thing to just talk sometimes with non-designers, let's say, about design, because now I do believe I have really heavily skewed perception of stuff like this, and even though I think I can place myself as a player while looking at designs, I do believe I can do it like that well, because I will be, no matter what, looking at a bit of a different position at it. So I won't be able to emulate the exactly the same feelings, or I won't even know like what a casual player that has no interest in art whatsoever or design, how they view the designs and everything. So yeah, it's just good to get a different opinion from different groups of people. Also, what is really interesting about this, also you can see a lot of Instagram pages doing right now the engagement type of a posts, where you can choose like if you prefer this image or this image, like just press a button. So it works really well. And sometimes it's kind of funny, because sometimes they compare like a really nice piece with like a really original theme with like an illustration that is of course cool, but it's extremely cliche, but it's like flashy, contrasty, and just like using all those like cheap type of tactics to make the image look nice. And sometimes the ratio for images like this, even though the idea on the second image is like miles better. The just flashy image gets like 90% of likes, and the actually cool type of a thing, or at least what I think is cool, gets like 10%, which is like kind of eye-opening that sometimes people don't really need really intrigued designs. Sometimes you just need like a cool looking image, and that's all. Also depends for whom you are designing, but I guess vast majority of people don't really care about design as much as a lot of designers think they do. So yeah. Yeah, in terms of like, I wouldn't ask my friend, like, what do you think about the light setup in this painting? Because most likely I will get like a really shitty answer. But I would ask a question: do you prefer this light to be like red or like blue? Or like stronger red or stronger blue? Because he will just tell me how he views it, or she. But yeah. Also, a really cool thing is when I ask my girlfriend about her opinion on stuff like this that I do, because she like finished the same school that I did, the industrial design at masters, but she is not like painting or doing a lot of like game type of related stuff. So she has like a bit more of like a mixed type of a view on the things, and usually she really nicely can find a balance between something looking like cool and something looking like original or something like this. Like usually when I ask her some questions, usually it's a really valuable type of a critique or information that I get back. So yeah, it's good to have like a stable like group of people that you can ask questions about art that you trust. Makes life easier. And also one cool trick, if you are designing anything, if you want to make it like look instantly much cooler, add veins to it, especially with the demons and like muscle type of a guys. Heavy vascularity is a trait that just makes surfaces look cool, since it allows to break like a really boring flat surfaces. So let's say the stomach area, maybe it's not the most interesting part of the design, but because nothing is like happening in here, I can add some veins that are like believable type of a detail, but they also break up the flat shapes in here. So yeah, this hand definitely will be the hardest thing to do, so I would leave it to be done in the end. And yeah, what I feel now, this guy looks much better than he used to look at the beginning. I don't necessarily like the shape of this wing in here. But boy, I could like rework every single aspect of this fella for like forever. And then it will be like my most time-consuming artwork that I have ever done. Because I decided at some point that, I will make him much cooler. I will just finish him a bit better. Much more than I usually do. So the horn in here. So this horn, or like the spike or whatever to call it, on the top is not as important. So I won't like actually be finishing it that much. But this is also the thing. For example, Adrian Smith could like do it with the really similar finish, but it will look like a photo. I can't do it. Like he can somehow like do the thing. He has magic colors, magic light, and magic everything. Okay, so the wing in the back is also a bit tricky because it's hidden behind like almost everything. So I need to really decide on how the thing should be readable. So like where to place the rim light and everything. I guess I will just place it in the places that kind of make sense. And just I will make it a bit darker. But yeah, maybe I will even manage to finish this fella today, because I don't think we are like really far away from finishing him. So yeah, I think if I will just like work on some like overlay layers that will like make the thing to focus more in here, then he will be almost like ready to go. And I do remember when I was like randomizing the next monster, it was like a skeleton, but I'm not sure if it was the case. I kind of want to like make the randomizing again, because I still have like one card uncovered, so I wonder if this is like the skeleton that I uncovered previously and I don't remember and I have not saved the file, or what was the case. And also now I'm thinking I kind of want to change the background, because like the thing that I had as a mock-up was like working well enough, but I do feel the ground change is needed. And let's see what colors do I want the environment to be. Those like parchment type of a drawing of a background will be cool. I do think I will go with something like this, with this like warm gray smoke type of a detail to it, with some like fog. Yeah, I was actually almost always I'm referencing the bats for the wings, because they just have the coolest wings out there. Also, making the interesting background is the like interesting thing on its own. It's really hard to make like a cool looking background to fit your character. Let me just move this fella to the middle, and we will proceed from here. Because sometimes you can even have like a really not finished painting, but if you somehow nail down the environment, then the painting will look like instantly much cooler. This was really nicely done by concept artists for this zombie game with the clickers. Oh my god, I have a hole in my brain. With Noel and Ellie, Last of Us. Concept art, Noel, I guess. No, not Noel. Oh my god, how he was called? Joel. Oh, and this is the painting that I was thinking about. Where it is? Joel. I have no idea who is the artist. I guess I will find it later and just put it in the description. But I really like how this background is made in here. It's like really simple. I don't know what is written in here, but what I like that the texture and the light is like interacting with the character, so it makes the entire thing like read really well. Maybe I'll try to emulate it, something like this. It will be cool. So let me work on the background a bit. I kind of want some like red hues to be in here, also present. Accidentally I made something that looks relatively cool. So it kind of will look like this like red flame type of a thing happening in here. And also what is really cool that I learned about like how to make things actually look cool is to really gently change the hue. So for example, in here you can clearly see the difference between the background, like in here that this is like red and this is like not red. But if you go to gray gamma, to the preview, basically the value is absolutely the same. So this is like one of the cool methods to make things look cool, to add additional details, for example, on a really flat surfaces, to change like the local color without changing the value. So yeah, this is the trick that I recently learned, and it works surprisingly well with pretty much everything. And also this is one of the things that I noticed a lot of like Asian artists are doing, to generally say Asian artists, for example, like Ruan Jia, he is using this trick like a lot. So there are like those slight changes in the hue that really contribute to the interest that you have in a background, like on the surfaces. And also for backgrounds, it's like a neat occasion to like test some brushes. So for example, you can just see what a certain brush can do. And especially since recently I downloaded like a fuckload of new brushes, I am actually in the middle of testing them all to see how they behave, how they act. And yeah, the smooch brush in Photoshop, the slowest thing on earth. So sometimes if you just like play with it, I do like the idea of like this kind of background like prominating out of the character. So there are like this visible rays going out in here. Yeah, maybe a bit of this like red behind here. No, something like this, maybe. Yeah. And for the ground, a really cool thing that you can do is to take a brush, this one, I want this one, paint like a texture. So I'm just painting like a random texture, because with the texture, the thing is you can also like see sometimes a geometry because of the texture. It kind of goes to the brushwork. I will convert it to smart object, so this way I can like transform it as many times as I want, and I can place the texture in the perspective. And now if I even apply the transform, I still can work with it. And then I also, with the shift, I can see where my vanishing point is. So now I know it should be a bit higher, because the vanishing point for me is around the height of the human. And I can imagine the human more or less, well, will like be maybe half the size of this demon, something like this. So if I would say that, yeah, something like this will work. And also I can like remove the excess of it, so I can make it a bit bigger. And if I feel the thing looks okay, then I will connect everything. And even if you take a smudge brush and you will just try some things, you can also like achieve a relatively cool and interesting things with smudging the background with the ground. So by smudging with 100% of strength, you can like kind of paint with what is underneath it. So I can kind of make those things in the background look a bit more like flames, while maintaining the values and everything without introducing any new colors. And sometimes smudging actually brings, like, it kind of like displaces the color and brings a really subtle new tones around it. But as you can see, hopefully, yeah, you can see, as you can see, it kind of allows me to like paint in a sense. And also recently, the more and more I have been enjoying low resolution brushes. So for example, for the background, I can take like a subtle thing take a really huge brush, let's say bright color, and you can see it like leaves this low quality texture behind it, which is cool. I just enjoy it. Just started to enjoy like mixing low quality textures with high quality textures. It also kind of brings the level of details in check, because you actually have the hierarchy of the details in here. So this leg is in the back, so I think it could be slightly smaller, just slightly. Does it look okay? Yeah, it does. Because it's a little bit in the background, I can imagine it's being... Hello, Nai. Because it's in the background, I can imagine it being a little bit more... I don't even need to connect it. Can be a bit more like dusted. So I will kind of introduce the aerial perspective in this one. So for example, in here... Oh, yeah, I got like, thanks. I got like a fuckload of help from like, I don't know, 5 different person on this one. So this is the only reason I managed to like pull this off somehow, to like actually improve on it, because like people helped me with it. Yeah, and now I kind of want to make this like aerial perspective, so you can see the wing in the background now gets pushed to the back because the value gets brightened. So I can remove it from where I don't need it. And I could exaggerate on it, so the depth is even more readable. So for example, I could like leave the wing like this, so it really feels that it is in the background. I don't necessarily like it being like this strong, so I will like make it a bit more delicate. But for example, the armpit area can be a bit brighter than the forearm area, like basically the forearm area, because it's a little bit more in the background. Yeah, hopefully I will finish this one today, because I kind of want... Yeah, the lightning actually is thanks to thanks to Reynaldo, because he did like this paint over with the light and shadow and everything, and also Nick Kuna did this paint over with the stomach area, and he slightly changed the face design and the arm design, but I cropped it in here so the geometry reads a bit better. And then do I have Jakob's overpaint? I do not, but it should be somewhere in here. No. Too many layers. Way too many layers. Yeah, this is a part of the Jakub overpaint with the armor in here, and I like this idea of this like this swoosh going a bit better. The Balrog designs. I don't think I have seen the Balrog designs for Diablo 4. Balrog D4. Balrog. Diablo 4. I can't find them, so if you can send me a link or the image that you mean. Oh yeah, I was trying to emulate Brad style a bit, because he knows a bit better how to paint, I can say safely. So yeah, I will utilize him. Also the axe in here. Okay, let me finish on the axe. And well, and I will turn on the thing. Also, I noticed a lot of like really skilled artists, like Naimol included in here. They can paint like this alla prima way, so they don't use opacity, and it like makes the entire painting be like really like thick. You can like see all the brush strokes and everything, and it usually makes the colors look much nicer, like tones nicer. So this is definitely one of the things that one day I wish to like learn, but at current moment, painting alla prima is terrifying because it's hard. But yeah, but Naimul is one of the crazy guys who is actually able to do this, and because of this he's scary. Some creepy skeletal teeth. In here, and a bit more angry, I guess. Emotion, so the axe actually looks dangerous. If your axe is not looking at you in a scary way, then this is not a strong item. The axes need to have like a scary facial expression. This one looks concerned at the moment. Yeah, now it's definitely not scary. Now it's a bit more angry. I will leave it like this. And you can see, I forgot about the geometry of the thing, and I made the skull look like shit. So it needs to go like this. So this is the emotion the axe will have. And this will be the most terrifying and the hardest part of everything that I have done in here. A hand. If there's one thing that is terrifying for every single artist out there, these are the hands. And if the artist says he or she is not afraid of drawing hands, he or she is clearly lying, because drawing and painting hands is just hard and it's terrifying, and there is no amount of hours you can like make in terms of practice to be like extremely proficient in it. Hands are just hard. And I don't even remember if I copied this hand directly from the NYX Overpaint or if I drew it. I don't remember, honestly. But it looks relatively okay as a starter, so I will keep it. Okay, let's connect everything so there's no return. Shit, I turned off the Skype. Give me a second. Whoops. Also, the Photoshop decided it will like lag heavily on me. Save to download. Let me open it, and yeah, if this looks casual for you, where is the download? Let me open it. So let's say how professionals did it. Fuck, now I have a depression. This looks much cooler, especially the feet. Holy fuck. Whoa, I went lazy with the feet. Nice. I really like this one. I like the horns. I don't like the face though. The face, that's right. The face is weird a bit. I'm not a huge fan of the face. But this is also the thing that I was talking about previously, like about the looseness in the painting. Look how loosely this is painting. Like you can see like the brush strokes and everything, and on the wings, but it looks cool. But because the dude who did it has like tons of experience, he can pull something like this off. Like, look at the muscles on the back. You can even see the slight like unevenness in the spine, and like this S curve, which kind of even makes sense, because if you are like a huge demon and you are holding something as big as this and you are swinging it like constantly, don't expect having like a evenly developed muscles in your like back. So yeah, but damn, this is cool. But I would say he should be a bit thicker. Like, this is like chicken legs. He should be thicker. But man, those are nice. I think I prefer this one most. I really like this, like, going forward type of horns. But you can also see the difference in the experience. Look how cool those horns are. Like, they are like really nicely shaped. Like, you can imagine something growing like this. And then there is this, this boring ass horns. Like, he also made those, but yeah. Definitely, this is like several like levels higher, and especially the wings. Like, as I said, my wings are shit. Now I kinda I feel like changing them. Fuck. Oh my god. Thank you for sending this, but I don't like you because you sent this. I need to steal this idea. This is 10 times better now. I was absolutely missing this in here. I had no idea I'm missing this. And in this case, I don't even feel bad for copying it, because this is basically the same monster. So yeah, I'm just referencing it, and I definitely need to remember this solution in here. Like, this thing makes the difference that I wanted to make. And I definitely feel like this one is much more now. Oh, there's also a hoof. Nice. And there is this small part. I really like it. Okay, I need to turn this off. I need to delete it before I like steal every single idea that there is in here. So you have seen nothing, and I stole nothing from that design, of course. But yeah. Yeah, no problem, Roman. This is like a typical thing, but now I feel like this guy needs like more of this. Like, he was too nice of a demon. There are not enough horns on him. Not a lot, slightly. I added some horns in here, but yeah, I just tried to adjust it a bit. Oh fuck. And sometimes this is like the thing that you just need to see. Like, this is always when I say, okay, you can like invent some monsters and everything and shit, but as long as you are like not actually actively looking on what different people are doing, there's no way you are going to improve quickly, or at least faster. Like, some solutions you just need to see, because otherwise there's no way you will ever think of them. So in my case, I was not even close thinking about like any type of a horn, like, I don't know, a thumb or whatever, however to call it, to be protruding from here. Like, this was way out of my like brain capacity to actually invent. But now I will like remember this forever. This is like forever imbued in my my brain, and every single time that I will do some hoofs and stuff like this, I will just do this because it looks cool. And it's just like utilizing on the experience of more experience, like do this and do that. But yeah. Okay, now let's make some artistic whoosh 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 here and there. And let's clean up this arm a bit. Yeah, but the Igor guy that you said, I don't remember the surname of him, of his, but his surname, I don't know what I tried to say, but he also like did a painting of the Lilith, and the painting are like the paintings that he is doing are beautiful. And I also do believe he is the artist behind the thing that I was also talking about that I would love to be able to show, like, because I have seen some stuff that I cannot like unfortunately show, but one day if I will be able to do so, then we definitely will be analyzing them on how to like paint zero details and how to make it look like a photo. But yeah. Yeah, no problem. Igor Seed, yeah, right. Yeah, Igor Seed is definitely an MVP in terms of like painting and everything. I always wonder if you are like at the level of Igor Seed, like what do you even consider hard in art? Like what actually is challenging for you? Honestly, I don't even know how this hand came to be, because the last thing that I remember about this hand is that it looks like shit. And now when I opened it, it looks kind of okay, which is kind of confusing to me because I definitely don't remember like cleaning it that much. So I guess I will have to like rewatch the previous stream if I have not cheated it somehow, or I just honestly don't remember, or I just had a wrong impression on what I have done. But it looks better than I remembered, so I don't know what is the case. But yeah. Yeah, hard surface is a different story. This is why 3D exists. If you are going to illustrate hard surface, just use 3D. There is this really cool... I guess I will just copy the working concrete barriers, because like, I mean, just like a block of something. There was this really cool video from Germany, I believe, where they were talking for like 10 minutes straight on how great of the design they made with like their concrete barriers and everything, and they were like praising it, like how, yeah, this is the best barrier ever, this is like a perfect barrier and whatnot. And they were like, oh, this is so good, this is so good. And then they did a test and it completely failed. Like it failed miserably in terms of like just being a test. Like it got demolished by the test track, and they were like justifying the failure with like there are forces that no one could predict, in like literally like a crash test, which as far as I know, even though I am not like advanced in physics or whatsoever, but I can imagine is not like a rocket science in terms of like physics. You just like need to like count the strike force and the torque and stuff like this. But yeah, it was kind of fun. Tish 7, actually this is the 5th stream that lasts like 2 hours, so I would say in total, considering some overpaints and just talking and not working and searching the references, I would say around 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours at this point, which is like 7 hours longer than I anticipated. So yeah, because I wanted to keep it as a sketch, but then I felt that I won't improve if I won't actually go beyond the stuff that I can do. And I decided to, okay, I will like render it nicely. I decided to spend more time on it. Actually, the entire thing, this is recorded on my YouTube channel. So if you want, you can just check it out. Maybe at the end, I will just combine all the videos together to make like a quick version when you can just see it, how it goes from the start to an end. Yeah. Fiber. Without fiber, nothing is really strong. Yeah, but it's sometimes funny how things are. And especially with the things like concrete barriers. I mean, definitely there are some designs that are just working flawlessly. And what is also really cool, especially with all this like real life type of a things that needed to work, like in a really like weird condition. So let's say everything that is like military, pretty much, they tend to look just cool, because if something works really well, it usually also looks really cool, because like the things just the cool working things just tend to look cool. And like the military kind of proves it. Like every single thing that is really complex, like some sort of a machine, like battle machine or whatever, they just look cool because there are like not a lot of stylistics to it. Everything is purely like the basically the form follows function, the type of a thing goes in there, and it actually makes them look really, really, really cool. Okay, so where this horn is, I don't remember which horn this was, so I will just add some horns in here, so I can imagine the shadows being casted in here and there. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, basically if Naimoli will like write concrete barrier fail in the YouTube, I do believe you will find this video in no time. Or they like preach it. It's really funny. It's not as funny as the fart video that recently I have seen, that I was like laughing for like 2 hours straight in the middle of the night. It was basically a guy who was trying to make some sort of a like exercise with like a stretch band, like exercising band, and he hit himself in the balls, and he farted because of this. And it was so simple, so stupid, and so funny that recently I went to sleep at 5 in the morning instead of 3, because I was just like laughing for 2 hours straight. So here you have it. Yeah, the video is actually hilarious. Especially since he was like not ready at all for what is coming, for like what is going to happen, because he was all like, oh, how I am going to use it, and then the smack came, and he just basically collapsed on the ground. if I were a bit more advanced with all the streaming and everything that I have in here, I will be able to play this video in here. But I do believe if I will try to just play it, then the whole stream will explode, because everything is set to be working for the Photoshop, so the slightest change in the settings most likely will break the entire setup, and I will go offline for like half a year, because I won't be able to like make it work again. But yeah, so unfortunately you will have to. Oh dude, without the sound, like without that sound it does not make any sense to watch it, like just dude collapsing. But just, yeah, the sound is what is making the video funny. Like this is like a golden rule. Yeah, if I send anything and I said it's funny, 99% of times it's the sound that is funny. Usually the visuals don't crack me up that much. Usually the sound is cracking me up, like a really weird bonk or thud or something like this. This usually is what does it for me. Okay, it's time to destroy the axe a bit more, so I can like introduce some directions to it. Actually, this one should be like brighter in here, so it can have this like a bit of overexposed edge to it. And also recently one thing that they taught me in a workplace is to avoid overexposing edges like this. So now when I see an edge that is overexposed, I instantly feel a need to like paint over it, so there's like not that much white, so it's only like overexposed in a really small portion, so it makes the entire thing looks a bit cleaner. And also I might actually add some sort of a like pattern in here. So the pattern could be like really simple, and I guess I will just keep it simple, so it's not the most intrigued detail in the world, but I do feel adding this arrow in here would be cool. So there's like the continuity of a design on the both sides. The other side it's for like piercing, and it's here it helps to like reinforce the blade. It won't make much sense, I guess, for the cutting power possibilities of the blade, because most likely if you cut something it will like stop in here and make the cutting a bit harder. But if you are a huge demon, then you will just strike as long as something is dead, and you won't really care about the efficiency of the strikes. So you can brute force it and you will be fine, instead of like trying to make a perfect cut. Yeah, that's basically the idea with a school, is maybe not stolen, but it's really heavily referenced by the axe that is in the Diablo franchise, in Diablo 1. Because they have like a really similar great axe with a skull like this. I do feel I do need to change the geometry of it a bit, to make it a bit flatter, and to make the teeth about smaller, a bit smaller, because now they look kind of stupid. And sometimes not really many changes are needed to make something look cooler. Okay, the area that looks odd is the armpit, so let me just work on the armpit, and actually I guess I will be, whoa, don't delete anything, and I guess it will actually be getting closer to finish this fella. I might like texturize everything. So I might like find some like old texture and just push it on it. And the hue in here I don't like. And this shadow is still a bit too sharp, so I will make it a bit more delicate. And now a bit more light in here, like a small touch, gentle touch of light, more gentle touches, gentle touch, remove the ugly outline. Move the ugly outline, remove the ugly outline, remove the ugly outline a bit more. Add some spikes to the side of a tail, so it's not as even. And let me now try to figure out the magic with... Also, one of the really cool things is, let me just take the thing. I want the wing in here to be darker, like blacker, darker. So, oh yeah, I connected everything together in a wrong manner. So the wing in here I want to be darker, so you can do something like this. And then you can go like this on the layer style, and you can tell it to ignore the under, like with the sliders, to ignore the under layer. So it will allow you to make quick adjustment to only darker parts. So it allows to quickly like rework the values a bit darker. Okay. Let me take like a dusty type of a brush for the ground. I kinda want some dust to be on the ground. And actually with the dust on the ground, you can set it to like green, for example, or like lighten or something like this. So actually the lighter parts are not affected by it, but the darker parts are affected by it. So this way you actually create a nice like level of the thing. In here with the areas like tail that are in the dust, I will kind of like blend it together. So I will like overpaint on it. And then I will choose like a lighter color, because I do want to have like this textured... Okay, I was doing it on a different layer. This texture type of dust on the bottom part of the image. So actually we don't really see much detail on the ground, and like it serves, is just advantageous for me in this case, that we cannot focus too hard on it. And I kind of feel like this texture looks really nice in a background, so it should go a bit of a behind the character too. Dusty texture. And I do feel the background has a little bit too much of blue in it. So am I right? Yeah, if I increase the saturation to 100%, you can see there is a bit of a blue in the background. I don't want any blue in the background. And I don't want any cyan in the background. And I don't want any magentas in the background. I want it to be like just black, like dark. I don't want to have anything in there. And this way I can increase the texture. Let's see if some magic thing works. Screen actually works really nicely to bring bit of a texture to the background. And on everything now, I can try to add the layer I was talking about. So I like to make the top part a bit like brighter. Unfortunately, I can see I connected almost everything together with the demon, so now we have like the top part and the background affected. Fuck yeah. And the bottom part to be darker. So this way I can kind of create the focal point where I want it to be like the brightest. I'll go even brighter in here. And I change it to soft light. So as you can see, it changes the values to be more concentrated in in the middle part of a demon. So now if I go back, as you can see, now it's like all over the place, and now it's really like brought back to the middle part of it. And it also makes the shadows go a bit brighter and everything, which is cool, which like again works for my advantage. I can well, so this is a bit of like a tips and tricks, I would say, more or less. And now also when I already have like this bloom in here and I have the values, yeah, basically this is the idea. And because now I have the values corrected in the middle part of the demon, I can kinda increase the amount of detail in the neck, because now I can see with what value range I'm working with. Previously it was way too dark. Now all the reflected kind of light makes it much easier, like tons easier to actually implement some additional details to the painting. And also this is like another reason why you can spend like hours and hours on a single design. And yeah, Naimul is a crazy artist. I remember really long time ago when I first saw his Diablo sketches, because like Naimul had a series of Diablo redesigns and they were like sick. They were actually crazy good. I was like, wow, I'm jealous of this guy. I want to meet him. And I wrote to him, and it turns out we have like quite a lot of things in common. And we became friends. And this is how the story goes. So remember, don't be afraid to write to anyone. In the end, everybody is people, is a person, is a human. Yeah, a really smart thing got butchered by my brain not working properly with the words. But yeah, if you like someone's art, just write to them. Be nice, be polite, and most likely they will write back. And maybe you will find yourself a new friend. So, who knows? Yeah, and it was all because I just wrote to him and I was like, hello, I like your stuff. Do you like Diablo? We actually started talking about Diablo and we were talking for like the entire night. And then it turns out we also like other things. With some differences, which was also cool, because for example, Naimul was much more of a like not a PlayStation, but I don't know if I can say console type of a player with, I do believe, Final Fantasy stuff, or like more Asian games that I never heard of. And I was a bit more with like this gothic like type of games, like Gothic, for example, or Spellforce or whatever. So it nicely complemented my knowledge about the games also. And also now I can show his paintings and flex on everyone like, I know this guy. So yeah. Which is basically like the story of how I made vast majority of my friends like over the internet. I just wrote to someone and we were like, hello, we are friends. Okay. And it basically worked. So, of course, this is a long story short, but yeah, this is how it worked. Yeah, the books. Several times I heard from different people that I overhyped the book for them. So, but they are all willing to like continue on it because they have a hard time like going past the first tome, because the first tome actually is really complicated. Like a lot of new stuff is happening and shit in it. I have like this huge horn in here. Yeah, and even the guy that I can easily say, like with the Jakub, the guy that was easily the most influential on my art, because of him I actually went to study industrial design, because after I dropped off the architecture, I was like, what do I do now with my life? And he said like, go study industrial design, it's cool. He was there, and I was like, okay. And in there I met my current girlfriend, and also because I was too stupid to like understand the fact that I was like annoying piece of shit back then. I was constantly like writing to him, sending him all my like shitty paintings and vips and everything, and just trying to talk with him. And I was so persistent with it that we actually became friends, like really good friends. And it was also funny, we met for the first time in real life after like, I don't know, 10 years or something like this. And we still are friends, which is cool. But yeah, you never know who you will meet. Like you won't know if you won't try, so just go for it if you are wondering. If anyone needs a sign to like write to someone, just write to them. Maybe it will work out somehow. Okay, I do believe like the last small touch on this fella like in here to make it brighter, to make the axe a bit brighter. Yeah, because like Jakub used to live in Gdańsk, in a city where I am like stationing for like since like forever, I do believe. I mean, I do not believe I know it, that I have been in here for like forever. And when I was in, I don't remember actually when I do believe it was around being 14 or 15, something like this. I was searching for someone to teach me how to paint in Photoshop. And I only found like two artists in Gdańsk back then that are actually doing anything digital, and it was Sławomir Maniak. Yeah, it was Sławomir Maniak and Jakub Fajtanowski. And Jakub was way younger, and he seemed to be more accessible in a sense, because he was not like crazy famous as for that times as the Maniac was. And as far as I know, Maniac was not really like responding much to messages, because I do believe I wrote to him but never got any response. So I tried to it like, do you want me to like, would you like to teach me something in digital? And he was like, yeah, of course, no problems, I am in Gdańsk. And after like a month, he moved out to Bydgoszcz. Like, it's not even far away, it's like, I don't know, 3-hour trip from where I live with the tram. But it kind of like buried the chances for any in real life classes, which is okay, which is good, because instead of like having the teacher student relationship, we just became friends. So yeah, it's a bit funny. Yeah, as I don't know if he like moved out of Gdańsk, but I do believe, Yeah, he's still living in Gdańsk. I don't know where, but long story short, he like lives, I don't know, most likely top an hour away from me. Maybe I will try to actually write to him to just, I don't know, go grab a coffee or something like this. It will be nice to meet him. He's a really cool artist. True. I really always loved, like, because I just opened his painting. I really loved the painting he did for, I don't know if this was Zendikar. I guess Zendikar is a bit older, but I really like this painting. This grotesque Genesis. Like, it just looks cool. I also really liked this one. It's 6 years. Oh shit! It's 6 years old already. Because I always like the spirits type of things to happen in like a background. So this one is also really cool. The one that has had the biggest impact on me, like really back in the days, was, it's not on his ArtStation, but now I hope I am not mistaking him for any other artist, but I don't think I do. Was this one? Holy shit, this is actually ancient. Let me search it for... There's only like one page where you can see this painting. Holy shit, this is... Okay. I cannot find it in a huge good resolution, but this one was extremely... Like, I remember looking at a lot of art back in the days, but this is one of the artworks that was like... That blew my mind back in the days. It still does. It's still like a great painting. I don't think I would be able to paint something like this even like today. But there was one painting, and I'm 100% sure he was the artist who did it. Oh, I also really like this one. This one is also really cool. But there was this one painting. Wait. Maybe I will find it. And I hope I'm not mistaking the artist now, but now I started to doubt myself. If I am not mistaking the artists. Wait. I don't even know what to write to search for the painting. Mecca? Because I do believe he had a painting of like this huge mecha that was like destroying like this steampunk setting. But now I don't know if I'm not mistaking the artists, because I cannot find the painting. But also it was like a really old, like a really old piece. It was in the times where the dig art was popular in Poland. No, I'm just like showing this type of a thing in here. But I'm just searching on the second screen. If I do, I don't know. Maybe something is not working on Twitch. But yeah, digital painting Polska. Robot. I don't think I will be able to find the painting now. I will try to search it like after I finish the stream, and maybe on the next stream I will show it, because it was like this huge mecha, like viewed from the bottom, like type of a thing. Digital painting, mecha. I believe it was like a steampunk type of a theme. It's kind of weird that I cannot find it, because this like used to like pop out on every single page, art page that I could imagine, like back in the days, if you just write steampunk mecha. Now it does show some other steampunk art, but nothing that good. Go back to Warsaw. I have no idea what the exhibition is in Warsaw. Oh, nice. In which city you were in Poland? Poland. Whoops. Like where you were studying? Warsaw too, or where? Okay. Maybe I'll add some horns, like spikes on his head too, or at least small bumps. Slightly just need to rework some values here and there, and I will call this a day with this fella. So we will be finally able to go to the next one. Radom. Oh yeah, Radom is legendary. It's like, this is like the city from the legends. And it's not hated, it's just like, it's hard to tell. Radom is Radom, it's a state of mind, not a city. Also a friend of mine is actually teaching in Radom, in Domin, where I used to teach. And he also used to teach me how to draw when I was studying, like when I was attending some classes in, yeah, like in the entire Poland. When I used to learn in Domin in Warsaw, I will quickly show him his artworks, because he is not really updating anything, but he was the type of a guy that could sit for like hours with pencils, and he could draw everything. Like if there is something that he can draw, it's impossible to be drawn. This is drawn freehand by him. All the ellipses are drawn freehand by him, and this is actually extremely like old artwork. This is believed to be his. It's basically Lustrzane on DeviantArt. If you would like to check him, it's like Lustrzane. This is believed to be one of his best drawings, and this is 11 years old at this point. And the jokes were made in Domin that he made this drawing where he still did not know how to draw properly. So yeah, guy is crazy. Dude is absolutely crazy, and has the, like, he could sit at one artwork for like 100 hours and he won't get bored with it somehow. This is also a really cool drawing that he did. I have seen it in real life. It's like 50 times 70 centimeters big, and the background is like, he just was sitting with a pencil for, I do believe he said to me it was like around 50 hours, just sitting and just coloring the background black. And he made everything so evenly that when it was like reflecting light as the graphite does, it was basically like almost a uniform like shine on it. Like there were no like heavy pressing type of a thing. It would just layer over layer over layer over layer. And yeah, this was actually extremely impressive. Oh yeah, if you would give anything to this guy, like in terms of architecture, he would be able to draw it. For example, once he just sat down with some crayons and he did a drawing of something in Radom, church and monastery of Bernardines in Radom. So yeah, dude is absolutely crazy. In terms of like fantasy stuff, he has no imagination at all. And once when he tried to draw something from imagination on a fantasy theme, everybody was like heavy laughing because he did something extremely cliche like this lift type of a thing, this huge crane coming out of some sort of like an extremely cliche portal. But in terms of like the technique, dude is crazy. I don't know what he is doing like right now in terms of like drawing. I have not seen anything new from him for like a really long time now, but I do believe that he is still one of the most skilled person that I have ever met. And yeah, just let me take a slide in here and just make it lighten so there won't be like dark shadows, black shadows in here, or close to non-black shadows. And we will call it a day. I guess this Duderino is done. So let me connect everything, those layers too. Just slightly only go with like some wobble in here to get rid of any hard edges on the bottom, because I don't want any hard edges to be in here. Yeah, he had a different level of patience. Like he was extremely patient. And also when we were like trying to figure out some like geometry type of a task, so basically you get some sort of a views or like basically a description of a geometry. It was like everybody was admitting it. If he could not solve a task with geometry, it was impossible to solve the task. Like if he cannot do this, no one can. It's as simple as that. And usually it was true. I don't think there were a single geometry task that ever like got him. He definitely spent some more time on some tasks, but never. But I don't think he ever failed like anything like that was done by someone else. So yeah, the dude was crazy. Oh, I forgot about the chain. Okay, let's make it quickly. And the chain is done. Yeah, I do believe like the traditional art in the end is much more pleasant in a sense, because you like have a physical product, and it's much easier to progress with traditional art because you can see the amount of work you are doing. With digital, what I had the biggest problem with was the fact that even if you do like 50 sketches, you usually hide them in a hard drive and you don't even see them unless you print them or like, I don't know, display them somehow. But it can get really discouraging really quickly because you don't actually see how much work you put into training, like how much training you put into, how much work you put into your work. Jesus Christ. So yeah. And this is like one of the things that why I don't necessarily recommend to anyone who is starting to start with digital art, because it can get really quickly discouraging because of this. And if you have like tons of papers everywhere in your house, just laying down, like laying there and reminding you of the amount of work that you had done, it's much better on, I would say, on your mind in terms of how you perceive what you are actually doing. I'm not a huge fan of this wing, but I don't care at this point. Let me just slightly make it a bit paler. Let me just make the sides a bit darker. Yeah, now let's check if the demon is in the middle. Of course it's not. Usually for stuff like this, what I do also recommend, let me make a black layer, is to make a guide just to see where your demon is placed. In this case, I usually don't recommend placing the design in the middle, like the important thing in the middle, but in here I will just move it slightly to the left so it will be centered, because the most important part of the design is the face in this case, so I want it to be visible nicely. And because I want it to be visible nicely, it will be in the middle, not straight to the middle, it will like touch the line, but yeah. And I will just remove the bumps because I don't like them. And we can also play with the adjustments. So let's see what autocolor says. Autocolors like it like this. I also like it like this. There's also a funny thing with the colors in the Photoshop. I also want to make another one small thing. Object selection tool, please select it. You managed to do so? Aha, perfect selection. I want this part to be like more like a silhouette. That I will like a cut hole inside of it so it will be visible that it is a chain. So now it's not like taking away a lot of the thing out from it. I don't necessarily also, I don't like this red light in here, so let me also remove it. I will make it much dimmer. It was too strong. See, it was way too strong. This is also the thing with finishing anything, like by me. Whenever I say that, okay, I'm finished, then I all of a sudden see 10 different things that I should rework immediately. And I know I will be like sick if I won't do this. So yeah, thanks. Okay, let's duplicate it and let's see auto color, auto contrast, auto tone. It looks really sick without auto tone. I really like this bluish hue to it. Let's see if I will press it on the divide. Looks sick. What will happen if I will divide the same painting and I will like remove it? This also looks really cool. This is nice. But I do like this bluish hues, so I might like try to incorporate a bit of it by playing with the sliders. So the sliders actually allow me to really nicely control everything. And let me mask some of it so it's not as prominent, not like burning eyes. But you can see it adds this hue to the background and to the entire character. That is just nice. And I do enjoy it. I feel the hand now is a bit too bright. It's not enough a distinction of plane of these fingers. They won't be as lit. It should be darker. Okay, it looks like this enough. Maybe a bit brighter in here. This whitish, white hue. And a bit on the claw. And on a finger, just a bit. And it's ending too abruptly in here. Well, and what the hell is happening in here with this light? Something bad is happening in here. And if anyone is wondering, usually if I can use some adjustments like auto color, auto tune, auto whatever, I will use it. I will use tons of it because it allows me to like quickly adjust the things that I feel are impossible to be seen for me. So I'm all for using all sorts of the adjustments, all color balances and everything, because it just allows you to fine tune the paintings. For example, I can go like full like metal with it, or I can just incorporate a bit more natural hue to it. So you can see now it looks more like it's in a white light. I kind of like going like this. It looks neat in my opinion. But I will just slightly increase the cyan hues in it, and I will slightly increase the yellow hues in it. So this way I will get like this greenish, a bit of a gritty type of a color in here. For the highlights, I can make it more bluish. It looks cool. It looks like really contrasty, or I can make it like yellowish. It will look more like a disgusting type of a demon. But going really blue hurts my eyes. But I like slight blue tone added to it, mixed with, or maybe not blue, maybe more of a cyan. So like the color balance type of a thing is definitely cool. Highlights and the shadows. Usually the shadows I don't touch because a slight change in the shadows just basically recolors the entire artwork. So like doing anything in here will have like a huge impact on it. So as you can see, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 is enough, and it allows me to make a really slight but a cool looking adjustment. And also the only thing that I want to make is to darken a bit, bottom a bit more, overlay, yes please, so it's not as prominent. And now to make it like this, and also the trick that I was using recently, if you have like a dust brush, a dust brush is a really nice detail. So I'm basically painting like dust in a basement, because if you are in the underground, you can imagine shit is flying in the air. So adding dust is like a nice way to texturize the painting a bit and to add the small level of believability to it. And it will really be visible only in like the brightest parts. So you can go with like to set it on like screen or something like this. It's not a huge thing, but it contributes nicely to what you might be doing. So yeah, definitely a cool thing to add. And again, the more away it is from the focal point, the bigger it can be. So fine dust near the face and bigger dust further away from the face. So boom, boom, boom. Well, let's connect it. Now the last thing is to filter, sharpen, smart sharpen. Yeah, 200 will be enough. Smart sharpen is cool because it brings the edges a bit. As you can see, for example, in the eye, it looks like this. After smart sharpen, it gets this additional level of clarity. And the neat thing that it does, as you can see, without painting, there is basically a transition. Background, character, like the light. After smart sharpen, it makes this a bit darker line between which also adds the level of realism to it. And yeah, and if I will have any type of an adjustments to make at the moment, it will be just to use Liquify. So you can't unfortunately see what I am doing right now, but basically by using Liquify, I can like adjust some parts without actually like destroying them. So the only thing that I want to adjust is the shape of the wings on the left side. So I will like make them a bit more even. And I kind of want to adjust the curvature of a hand because I don't really like it. And a bit of a leg. And in a second you will see the small changes that it allows me to make. And I can suck the tricep a bit more. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, you can see the small changes take basically no time to be applied in here. And after like sharpening everything, you can like paint over it a bit, and again we'll kinda like bring everything back more. Now I have no idea how I have not noticed this area, this ugly ass vein in here. It definitely feels unfinished, so let me just quickly go over it. And after doing this, I will call it a day, I will call it done, and we will randomize the next monster. And I'm 90% sure the next monster is a skeleton, and that I just forgot to save the reference for it. So yeah. Boom. Not to save the reference for us. I'm tired already, so I'm kinda like mumbling at this point. What I mean to save the file with it. Okay, this is it. It is done. So, and for the rest, I need to play some games today also. So, in this case, resting will be for the later. So I will rest gaming, and to make it nice, Balrog. And what better font would there be? Actually, Carta Marina is really nice. I really like this font. Carta Marina. It's just neat. It has this like really nice quality to it, like this old text. But actually, the font used by Diablo is Exocet. And I actually feel Carta Marina feels better to be used in here, but I will go Exocet heavy. I feel like finishing this nicely, going like 25, 20, well, this is not the size, this is the size, 25 not, 35, and increasing the spacing a bit, and decreasing the height to 100%. Balrog. And canvas center on the bottom part, and let me see only Diablo 1, Diablo 2 monster. I only need to check how the health bar looked. If it was by any means not nice, it was just like a red bar. A bit redder bar with like some different hues in it. So let me just go darker and more saturated to the sides, on the sides. Let me mask it. So I can introduce like let's increase the flow, the destroyed texture of the health bar with the mask. I need it to be a bit more desaturated and brighter. No, brighter, more saturated. Yes, but not that much. A bit darker. And let me take the letters and let me change their color. Or no, let me just make a mask. Well, clipping mask painted, so it won't be like white, it will be a bit darker. So I will actually use the colors that I have in here. Not to that extent. I don't want it to like 3D. A bit darker. Smaller opacity. And also if you are working, usually I suggest to use optical instead of like metrics. Okay. This is nice, this is nice. Let's make it smaller. And boom. I guess it's finished. Maybe I will do every single monster like this. I should actually prepare some sort of like a nice border for the future monsters, so I will be able to just like place it nicely and it will like look nice. So yeah, this is the Balrog. And one last thing, this area is annoying me, so let me just quickly clean this up. Yeah, and thanks a lot. I'm glad you like it. Also, definitely this was one of the most fun pieces to make, especially since for a really long time I have not like been really nicely rendering and painting some sort of a monster or whatever like this. So yeah. But please God have mercy and don't give me a skeleton. I don't want to bring a skeleton to this level of polish, no matter what. But I'm afraid I will have to. On the next stream I will prepare the border for the thing. I will kind of like try to adjust it so it might look a bit nicer. Now I do care a bit too much about this painting, so okay, let me just check if the next monster actually is a skeleton, because the last one was it's not a Balrog. I'm stupid. This is Slayer. Oh my god. Oh, Slayer. And yeah, exactly. This is what happens if you're stupid. You forgot what you are painting. I thought this is a Balrog because Nymul sent me a Balrog. This is a Slayer. The type of a monster is a Balrog, I do believe, but this one is a Slayer. Then this will be a faux pas to paint a Slayer for like 5 streams and forget that this is a Slayer. And a drop shadow. A drop shadow is always a cool detail. I always liked it. No, okay. This lighting here could be a bit darker. But okay, to give this guy a rest. I don't want to like look at him anymore. It's finished, it's done. saving the file is like extremely heavy. So let's see the number 9. I know it is a skeleton. I don't want to uncover this card. Where this card is. I knew it is a skeleton. It's a burning dead archer, so at least this is the thing that will be mildly interesting. So 1, this is an archer. 2, it is burning, and 3, it is a skeleton, which is not spectacular, but this will be the next one that we will be trying to grapple. And I wonder. Oh, and also you can give me some numbers. So, like, I don't know if anyone is still watching, but if you do, just give me some numbers. I will write down what next monsters I will randomize after the skeleton archer. So, yeah, give me some numbers. Anyone. Like the letter and a number of anything that is uncovered, that is covered. So, you have like, I don't know, 30 seconds, and after 30 seconds I will just choose them by myself to like randomize later, or I will choose one to randomize. Come on, please, someone choose a number. C7. Okay, let's make this one next. I won't uncover it, but we will see maybe on the next stream what it is, because maybe with the burning archer I will kind of cut corners and will make it a bit less finished. But yeah, I guess this will be all for today, and thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is how the final painting looks like. I already see some places where it could be improved, but nah, I won't do it. So yeah, thanks a lot, and F2. Okay, let me just select F2. Okay, F2. Yeah, and yeah, this is also, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. Maybe you learned something new. It will be cool, and see ya to the next time.